Hello, Anne. Hello, and welcome to a rather impromptu DTC. I don't even know what number it is. I'm not going to say it because I'll probably fuck it up like I did last time. So I am not seeing YouTube at all. I have no idea what the chat is because the internet will not cope with running too many things. So if you do have a question or a comment, it will get passed on to me in my Zoom. But thank you. I believe there's about 140 of you here. That's really cool. Thank you very much. So I don't even know where I left off last time, but on the one hand, I'm sure we can all see that the world is looking crazier and crazier from one perspective. And the last month has been really interesting to navigate. I did say that the July 31st date for me this year has more energy around it than it did in 2018 when it was first brought up. And for me, on a personal level, that has turned out to be quite relevant. And I do think over the coming days and weeks, we are going to see the effects, and we'll be able to, in hindsight, 2020, go, oh, it really did start around then, around the 31st. In terms of what myself and the gang have experienced, it's been some really interesting stuff. And I know that ultimately when I end up doing these DTC type things, you probably only get about 10%. You kind of get the conclusions, and it's so much detail, so much conversation, so much work goes into getting to those little condensed pieces that it doesn't seem like much, but there's a lot that goes on into it. So on would have been Wednesday, the 8th of July, something interesting happened for me, which I didn't even talk about until the 10th on the Friday with the members, because I actually forgot about it, but I was triggered to remember. I woke up with an image of, and the words, what if the straw man is really Freddy Krueger? And I saw an image of the scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz standing next to the straw man, what I call the straw man. And next to him was Freddy Krueger. And it was, again, back to that Inception level, 3 levels of the game concept. On the surface, it's a scarecrow. But this movie and book is one of the most decoded and dissected that's ever been made, right? And everybody seems to have the interpretation of the scarecrow is really the corporate straw man, and it's all about gold and silver and what have you. And I'm sure that's true on the next level. But then it was like I was seeing the level below that, which is Freddy Krueger. And Freddy Krueger is the character that hooks you in to the illusion, hooks you into the dream, captures you in the dream, and ultimately kills you in the dream. So we spent several hours dissecting the storyline from that perspective. And there were so many things in there that were like, oh, wow. From the good witch who turns up in a pink bubble to the differences between the book and the movie. In the book, Dorothy wears silver shoes. And if you look at it from more of an energetic spiritual perspective, not the physical 3D gold silver straw man corporation sort of stuff, the silver to me would be the connection to her higher self, or connection to outside the construct. In the movie, they were changed to red shoes. And red in the spectrum, and Susan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the color red is the lowest frequency color. So it's like dumbing down, lowering her spirit. Toto the dog, everything that happens to her during that film is a result of her following Toto. So Toto was like her totem guide, higher self, guiding her on this journey of discovery that home is within. There's no place like home. All she had to do was go back in individual inside job. And funnily enough, the Scarecrow was her favorite character. And there's something there about if the Scarecrow ultimately is Freddy Krueger, it's the illusion and the attachment, the distortion. It's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome thing. Like we are completely enamored and attached to the very thing that keeps us in the illusion. It's our favorite. As of that day, as of Friday, the 10th, and having that conversation with the group and us just sort of dissecting this whole thing, got off the call and it started. It was one thing after another of Wizard of Oz or Freddy Krueger references. The Observation Deck YouTube channel posted like 2 hours after we got off the call another video dissecting the Wizard of Oz. The next day, I actually looked at the newspaper, which I haven't done in, 10 years. And I had a choice of 3. They were sitting on a table in a cafe. There was 3 completely different newspapers there. And because I was waiting, I just picked up one and thought, let's see what they have to say. 3 pages in, there's a photo of Freddy Krueger. You had the meme of Bill Gates as Freddy Krueger go around. There was another meme of Melania Trump as the Good Witch going around. This was kind of nonstop, like really in my face for a couple of weeks. And then that actor, is it John Saxby or John Saxon or whatever his name is, he died. And he's the one who fought Freddy Krueger in one of the Elm Street films. And I believe, I tried to find exactly how that fight went. I think he kind of won, or it's sent him back into the dream world or whatever. And I thought, okay, that's it. That's the end of this. This is the end of this process of revealing this third layer. But then somebody else went and posted Joe Biden as the Scarecrow because he doesn't have a you know what. So now we might still be there. But essentially, if all the light will be shone, no, the light will be shone in all the dark places. Everything will be exposed and revealed. What we are seeing now is that third level of the illusion is coming to the surface. Everything is coming up to the surface. Are there any comments in YouTube or questions in YouTube that I need to see? Nothing yet? Oh, hi everybody. I can't even see who's in the room. I'm sorry to say hi. The other two characters, well, in my notes I've got here, the Tin Man. He is all that glitters. He's where your treasure is. It's where your heart is. Home is where the heart is. The Lion, psychic ability, spirit, all that we have lost. We have lost a lot of connection, which keeps us locked in fear. And the Good Witch of the North wears pink. The other thing that we were just talking about earlier is language. Looking at the language that's being used. So again, you got to kind of look at it. It's 3 levels deep. Everything seems to be 3 levels deep. The comms, the decoding, the revealing, the reality itself is 3 levels deep. So on the surface, level 1, on the political scene, the conversation is all around corruption. And for the, let's say the majority of the masses, that means people taking bribes, nepotism, people having unlawful arrangements and agreements. But the level below that would be the purpose of all of that, which is the trafficking and the ugly stuff, is the next level of corruption. And then for me, at the moment, the third level of corruption, when they're using the word, is to look at it again in computer terminology. If this is a huge holographic computer game, like any computer, like any file, like any hard drive, it can be corrupted. And our construct technologically, in that sense, it's corrupt. It's a corrupted construct. It's a corrupted game. So that corruption, that level of corruption is also what is being dealt with. Cleaned up, deleted, whatever needs to happen. Let's see. Physical reality merging with the dream state. Yeah, in a way, yeah. We've been going through a process of waking up through these 3 levels of the game. Yeah, you should probably flip that, like level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 being what's on the surface, 3D, in our, what we look and see. Level 2, what's really driving all of that, and level 3 being up here. And we're waking up through these levels. Are you seeing this, John? You're getting messages in the chat. Are you seeing that? Okay. Where's my one? Doesn't work. Any other questions? What do I feel about a solar flash in December? I've always felt the sun's going to play a really significant role in all of this. It does appear that the timing is set. The time is set. There's no changing that. December 21st is as good a day as any to go with, but it's too far out for me to, I can't feel that far anymore. I haven't been able to for ages. So there's certainly a lot of reasons to think that would be the date. But we're kind of, whatever the date is, feels set. And we've got markers to meet that date, and they are locked in as well. But how we get from one marker to the next is the variables. Like that chain reaction of events that I showed in that little graph I did a while back. I'm asking if you're seeing the Zoom chat, John. You're being asked to remove them, to remove somebody.
No, they're not.
Apparently they're not. Have there been any messages from home? Yes. What was the date on that one? Victoria at Love in Action Now. She shared that too. That essentially we just need to let everything go. We need to let this go. That nothing of the old goes into the new. And we are in a process of just letting the old go. And to not fight it. And speaking of the new, that's what it feels like hit on the 31st. 31st was Friday. I was on a members call and the energy started to change, and the visuals that I got past was on my left, and it was black and white. It was monochrome. Future is on my right, and it was a band of rainbow colors, and I was like in the middle. It looked like an old black and white TV set as opposed to a HD 4K big screen. This black and white is literally black and white. It's duality. This is some form. It's still so new and still feels so foreign. It feels good and somehow familiar, but familiar like a memory. It's still very foreign in a right here, right now sense. So I don't know what too much to say about it, but on the Saturday the 1st, when I woke up, I was now in the initial stages of it. And that's continuing. It feels like everything that's happening is pushing us to let go of all of our shit, because nothing of the old can go through or forward, but also pushing us to break through duality. And the way to do that is to create these two intense extremes. Those who are really caught in duality cannot tolerate anything other than that. And everything is either with them or against them. Everything feels to me like it's being forced to transcend duality. And the only way to do that is to, like, basically not, I can't, Buddha's, middle path sort of thing. the separation, as this divide feels like it's going to increase and get more extreme. And I think that's why a lot of psychics and astrologers and all of that are saying things are going to get worse or things are going to get more intense. It's because these duality extremes are going to get more extreme. And so for everybody who's at one end or the other is going to look more and more and more and more ridiculous and incomprehensible until we transcend that. I hope that makes sense.
It's like everything that used to be the gray zone, there's black and white, and very little used to be black and white. There was a lot of gray. Everything is being forced into either black and white. There can be no gray. It's intolerable.
It can't tolerate the gray.
Right.
That's why you've got silence is violence. Gray is the sitting on the fence, or that's one way of looking at it, or just staying neutral is the other way of looking at it. But yeah, the duality cannot tolerate the grey. They want to force everybody to pick a side so that they know that you're either with them or against them. You're either one of them or you're the enemy. You can't be neither, Do I think Trump will win? If yes, why and how? Yes, I do. Why? Because I think ultimately he does transcend. The guy is not a Republican. Truth be known. He has become an entity in and of himself that transcends Democrat and Republican, left and right. For those who are not or don't have a fatal case of Trump derangement syndrome, people who don't want to vote Republican, for example, but they want to vote for him, how do I put this? I spent the first year of Trump's presidency just thinking he was another means to the same end, But 2017, as I've talked about many times, was the year of all the work. So to slightly recap, 4-year cycle, 13, 14, 15 and 16, and this was supposed to end at the end of 16, and it didn't. Couldn't. But much was learned in that 4-year cycle. 17, all the work was done. But because we had to repeat a 4-year cycle, we have to repeat a 4-year cycle. So all the work was done in 17. And I think when they say you are watching a movie, that part of it is very, very real. The work was done. It was filmed. It was a wrap come December 17. And since then, we have been watching the film because we have to get to that predetermined point in time, space, whatever, the moment. So now we're just watching it. So I'm going back to the work that was done in 17. What fits that energetically? You can't see clearly, feel clearly, know clearly when you're filled with hate or disgust or resentment or anger. whether it's for Trump, whether it's for anybody else or any other situation or whatever. You just can't. So for people who are allowing themselves to just focus on this one man and throw all of their own crap at this one person are missing, they're missing everything, actually. And it's not about being pro-Trump or anti-Trump at all. It's about being pro-truth, pro-humanity, pro-ending this bullshit. And anything and anyone that is in alignment with that, yeah, I'm all for it. The number of people who have had what they call Trump dreams is insane. And that seems to be happening more and more, as well as, and not just him turning up in dreams, but each other, we're turning up in dreams, because I think the collective is getting more condensed, more connected, more in tune as we go on as well. So there's that. Do you think we changed the world enough in the end? Well, see, I'm coming from the position of we end this world and we move beyond it. Whether we realise that's what's happened initially or not, I don't know. We still don't know whether this all happens in a moment with a big bang and lots of fireworks, or whether it's a slow dawning on us that things have changed. But on a very technical, computer language kind of narrative, I think we literally leave this game, go and do another one. What was what date? Will we remember, or will parts be deleted so we can't remember the old that no longer serves us? I think we've been going through this process for a long time of sending the files, exporting the files that we call memories that are necessary to go into the archive so that this never happens again. And along with that, there will be memories, but it feels like along with that, the emotional connection and emotional sting and pain and all of that, the trauma attached to anything like that is gone. So we're able to just be more of a neutral observer of it all. What? I'm not there yet. What's the status on the white dragon? Energetic. We've been tracking that energetically, and let's just say she is getting closer, and that moment is getting closer constantly. It's a journey. I see confirmations or clues or messages in a lot of different ways and from a lot of different people. Last time I spoke about this, I think I said I was expecting to hear from her within no more than 2 weeks. That's what it felt like. And then SpaceX Dragon crew got delayed. That was the message, something like that, right? That went out publicly. And I went, oh, because I just knew it was like a message to say, no, she won't be talking to you in the next 2 weeks. There's a delay. Okay. Dragon Crew just came home yesterday, today, something. So we shall see. Because today, energetically, it also feels like she got a step closer. Any new messages from Lilu? Only not through the computer. Not since February. We've heard from someone else from home since then, but not Lilu specifically. Energetically, yes. I have new people watching for the newbies. Can you give a very short synopsis of home? Are you serious? I don't know, can I? I've only been trying to describe it for 3 years, so yeah, no problem. Okay. You're living in a computer game. You exist outside this game. This is your avatar that you're using to play this game with. This game has been corrupted. And you've been locked in here. And we, from both inside and outside of the game, are working to finally change the game, end the game, go home. Which brings me to level 10, actually. It's a good intro to that, so thank you. Do you think the New Earth is just a new game being pushed on us? I do think that there is an element of that. I think that's a lot of what the 5D Ascension New Earth stuff is. But that won't, I don't believe the energy for that is there anymore. They can keep talking about it, but I don't think that it actually exists as an option. Does anyone remember being moved to this reality a couple of years ago? You mean like Mandela effects and shifting timelines kind of thing? Does Jesus factor into this at all? Okay. Where's my pen gone? Seriously.
There's a Mandela.
There's a Mandela for you. My pen just disappeared. Okay. Hang on, I need to get these questions in order. Firstly, in this game that we've been in, let's say, I don't know how many of you are familiar with playing, video games, but let's say there's 10 levels to this game. You enter the game, you work through the levels, you finish the game, you leave. That's the plan. And these are the words of one of the members who I think has done a really good job of explaining this. We got stuck at level 9. Instead of graduating to level 10, the final level, we kept looping. Now, whether we were playing level 9 over and over again, or whether they were sending us back to play level 1 again, which I think is probably more likely. That's what all these resets have been. It feels like very recently, we're in the process of leveling up to level 10, the final level of the game. And when you play a video game like that, there's often either a recap, you watch a little bit of a movie and you recap where you've been, and then you watch a movie where they show you what level 10's all about. maybe introduce new characters, introduce new tools or gifts or superpowers or whatever whatever level 10 is all about. Over recent weeks, we have been getting introduced to what level 10 is going to look like, who's involved, what your gifts are, what your challenges are going to be, who the boss is, who's the big baddie on this level that you've got to beat. That's all kind of been playing out. So we can finally play level 10 and win the game. Oh, I keep picking up the light if it doesn't work. The Jesus question. There are people, I have a feeling there are people in here who are, Christian and religious, and I don't want to offend anybody.
Yes.
But I'll say it like this because this is actually true for me. I think that the Bible is a collection of the narratives of this construct. So what do I mean by that? When you play a video game, you can usually pick a character, right? So let's say when we all came in here for the first time, there was a limited number or a set number, but obviously a limited number of storylines and characters to play. I think the Bible is actually a collection of all of those narratives and all of the characters that this construct runs from. It's the script of the construct. You could come in here and choose to play any one of those characters, any one of those storylines. If you really knew what it was, you could corrupt it, you could distort it, you could control it, you could determine how those storylines play out. I think that we have to abide by the rules of the construct, and that book is the rules of the construct. So all of the biblical stories to me are playing out right now. The characters are playing out, but they're playing out in such a way that the negative impact is minimal. Great floods. Well, now we've got China flooding. It's not global. There is devastation happening in a particular area. The names of the characters. If you actually watch the media and watch they're little side stories, they might be, but there was one the other day which was something about a character that's connected to Cain. There was the whole Cain and Abel story playing out. But is it playing out? It's not playing out in the worst case scenario kind of way. It's playing out in these, it's everything's been mitigated. We have to write ourselves out of the construct, right? We are writing a story, writing a narrative to play ourselves out of level 10 and out of the game. But we've got to use the stories that are available to the game. We've got to use the narratives that are here, that it's based on. So we're doing that. This goes back to the graph that I did a couple of shows ago, where all the narratives have converged into this junction box, and then we write ourselves out. Yeah, we can't use Monopoly game rules on a game of Twister. It doesn't work, right? We've got to use the right rules for the game. We've just got to use them in such a way that work for us. So the Jesus narrative, I'll call it the Jesus narrative and the character, if that's the story, if that's the narrative that you've chosen to write yourself out of this with, then yeah. So for some people, it's going to be picked up in spaceships. For some people, it's going to be whatever. What you just wake up somewhere else. There's no right or wrong way. We have a number of narratives to play with. I do think that the ultimate message on many levels of what's going on is to realize we are our own saviors. We are the ones we've been waiting for. This is another saying that's been around for a very long time. We're going to transcend. We are transcending. We are processing, I think, the whole savior meme right now, as well as everything else. It's one of them. So I hope that wasn't too offensive. Sorry. Do you follow Kerry Cassidy's stuff with Project Camelot? I have not for a long time, actually. I don't really know what she's been up to. Every now and then I catch something if one of the members will say, go and have a listen to this, but it doesn't happen very often. The last time I listened to something from Kerry, I think it was at the beginning of the year, and I couldn't listen to it all because she sounded very fearful. And so, yeah, I actually don't know where she's at right now. What is the significance of the white dragon? Okay. Even all the dragon talk could be just another narrative, right? That was in here, and they've deleted it from the collection of stories. But the one that we have, that's come from many sources. It's come from bits and pieces from home. It's come from people's own knowings and memories and dreams and intuitions and experiences and what have you. The dragons are known as creators of realms. That when the virus came in, many of the dragons were captured and their energy used, harvested. The white dragon is this particular white dragon that we're hearing from was the only one to apparently have survived this construct experience. She was assisted to escape last year and has been back in source healing and is coming back here to make an announcement. It's all about an announcement. This was all picked up on even before we even heard who this announcement was going to be from. And the feeling is that and has always been that whatever this announcement is, it's just prior to the end. The projector beam in Antarctica resonates. Miss Angie, there's a movie coming out called Greenland. What do you think of Greenland? It's another place of many, many secrets, and yes, connects to Antarctica. Okay. Westworld, yeah. Yeah, a lot of clues in Westworld. Well, hello, Dave from Peru. D. Send an email to lisa@lisamharrison.com. Or if you're on Zoom, send a contact request at that email address, to that email address. Looks like time loops are a big topic. Yeah. Anything on Bill Wood lately? No, not that I've heard. Not for a long time. What do you think John Lamb Lash would say right about now? When Lulu first made contact with me, John Lamb Lash did reach out and said, "Oh, hey, guess what? Sophia just made contact with you." And then, I don't know, then we lost contact. So I don't know what he would say anymore. Do I think the internet was created to help us get out of here? Everything to me has both the positive and the negative. Everything can be used by both light and dark and serves a dual purpose. What ends up rising to the surface is up to us. So I think that's what's rising to the surface at the moment, is the positive. Do I think the CCP, China, have any dragons using their energy now? No, I do not. Which is why they're being somewhat exposed the way they are. How many people have I heard from home? I don't know. $20, maybe, off the top of my head. Very different characters, all of them, serving different roles. Not all human. Some with incredible senses of humour and some more stoic. Linear, only that, like I said, she was there on the big message in February that the pool has begun. No one can come through and talk to us on the computer without her help anyway. So she's always there in the background, but she may not say anything. And energetically, yes. We've heard from one person once, which was only about 3 weeks ago, but it wasn't from Lulu. What is the pink sphere? Are you making these questions up, Bev, or are they coming from Zoom, from YouTube?
I'm asking what I'm being asked.
Okay, what is the pink sphere? Back in 2016, I got this visual. Normally when you can feel or see, energetically see a huge energetic wave that's going to come in, big change, the visual would always be for me like a huge water wave, like a huge tidal wave. And it always came in from the right, always. But at the end of 2016, it was this huge pink sphere instead. And I knew it meant something energetically very, very, very different was coming in. So that's the pink sphere. It's this brand new frequency. It is home. It's got the energetics of home. And it has been slowly but surely kind of rewriting this construct, I guess you could say. Have you felt an increase in heart expansion in the last few days? There's a lot of heart stuff going on since the 31st. Yes. Only humans can see pink light. Is that true?
Yeah. Pink is so. There actually is no pink wavelength. There's red and infrared, then there's violet and ultraviolet. And if you take the color spectrum and wrap it around in a circle, that missing area, everything in that missing area, we call pink. So, and it's a color our brains just make up. So pink is really just minus green.
So therefore, I remember you bringing up something like that when it all first happened. Therefore, it cannot be distorted or manipulated because it doesn't technically have frequency you can do that to. So the pink sphere is a visible thing. To me, energetically, yes, not necessarily physically. When you, with psychic or, internal vision and all of that sort of thing, a lot of it presents as metaphor. And it's trying to decode the metaphor, is what a lot of energy goes into. Having said that, pink spheres have actually been photographed and videoed lately, so who knows? Where is home for you? Well, this is the thing. We've been told for a long, long time, especially through the New Age movement and all of that, that it's just us, it's just Earth, right? That's going to ascend and change and whatever. Now, it's my understanding that everything that we perceive, including what we call dimensions, including the afterlife, including the galaxies and everything that we can conceive of, is actually inside this construct. It's part of the game. That ending, but we've come in to this game from various realms outside the game. It was like a little melting pot where everybody could come play. And it's required even more people from more realms who have never been here before to come in and help end this. This experiment, what's turned into be, the grand experiment, it became clear about 2 years ago that this is so much bigger than just us. It's so much bigger than just Earth. It's so much bigger than just this construct, that everything outside of it has been changed because of what's happened in here. All of creation is being affected, or has been affected, and has changed as a result of what happened in here. Outside the construct, from what I understand, everything is also merging. There has been separation outside as well. Everything is coming into one. We are all coming into one. Our one. So even if we weren't all from the same home before, we may all find ourselves in the same hanging out in the same space after. I hope that explains that. Thought-sided PCs. We've got a few different things in this construct. We've got what I call the originals, which is those beings from outside who originally came in here to play the game and have been stuck in here ever since. We've got what we call the volunteers, which, because there is no such thing as time and space, really, you may have only decided to come in here in our time of, say, 2013 or 2012. But you could come in.
Well, our hearts grieve for the fact.
You could come in at any point in the game. So you might have decided 5 years ago to come in, but you chose to come in 1200 and something. And you've been here ever since. You've been here for 5 minutes, but you've been here for hundreds of years. So that's the heart, what I call the heart source beings. Then you've got the NPCs, which are what we call half souls, because there's something about they're an aspect of the heart source beings, a spark from the heart source beings is the battery for them. It's kind of, when in the Frankenstein movies where he has to use electricity, the lightning, to activate, to create life. Something like that, in the sense of here's a purely computer generated avatar. It needs a spark from a heart source being to switch it on. So they have the potential, I think, to grow, to become more. But they are completely plugged into the program, to the construct. They are directly downloaded thoughts, feelings, ideas, whatever, from the construct itself. So it depends on that spark, whether it can break free from that, hive mind kind of thing, being directly plugged in. Then we've got the virus in human form, which are, the ones that we consider the true psychopaths, narcissists. And they're in all walks of life. They're not just the elite and the leaders. They're everywhere. Am I missing anybody? I think that's about it. And they're in their own hive mind collective, because it's just the virus. It's just everywhere. I'd like to speak to you when you can. I had a nightmare a few months ago, and I don't dream. It was not a dream. It was real. I was in a horrible fun house of crazy and I couldn't get out. Well, sounds like life. The dreams that people are having right now are pretty crazy. Binary system causing NPCs. I'm not sure if I understand that question. Oh, wow. We called all the talk about dragons, so I called on the dragons and jumped up on one, and I said, as we flew up, burn it all down. So they did. And then I woke up. Nice. Yeah, I saw that Beyond the Veil, where he said the dragon is like the last option. But as far as I know, that is the option that's playing out. There's a lot that I don't know whether Chris Geo follows what I have to say or these shows or knows who I am or any of that stuff. I have no idea. But he and I are in agreement on a lot of things. It's just a few little bits and pieces here and there that I feel like we're on different pages, but it doesn't mean either of us are right or wrong. It just means that there's different perspectives, because it seems to be depending on where you came from, what particular mission you came in to do, literally what perspective you have, what your team's doing, what your job is, as to how you see things playing out. And they're not all right or wrong. They're just literally different vantage points. And if you're super focused on your mission, then you're only seeing from your vantage point. As we get closer and closer and closer, those vantage points are starting to merge. I see a lot more, we go through these periods where it sounds like everybody's on different pages, and then suddenly everyone's on the same page, and then it diverges a little bit again, and then everyone's on the same page. So yeah, it's like as we're moving forward and getting closer to the finale, whatever that looks like. Can you talk more about the three-way split at the end time? I don't know. Have I said anything about a three-way split? You might have to put that differently, because that doesn't mean anything to me. How do you know if you're an NPC? Most of them don't question it. So you're probably not. So how do we exit this game? Letting go. You know, that's if you've ever seen the Matrix movie, at the beginning when they wake Neo up and he's in that pod and you've got those plugs and they go pop, 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 pop. To me, they represent us being plugged into the mind. Mate, this virus that I refer to is a mind virus, right? It's a virus of the consciousness and of the mind. And we need to unplug from it. It's like a network. And that's the work that we're doing. That's why I've been saying for 3 years or whatever now, it's an individual inside job. You unplug as much as possible. You do the work. You look. You don't even have to, not anymore, and there isn't the time for that. I ain't got time for that. Go through this deep analytical process. It's just, okay, I see it, I feel it, I let it go. I see it. I see you pain. I see you thought program. I see you belief system. I see you. And I unplug. I let it go. Whenever you find yourself in a repetitive thought pattern, is it really mine or is it a program? Is it true? Is it really based on anything? Is it really? And what is that ultimately leading to? Is it positive? Is it for my highest good? If all that stuff, just ask those questions and then let it go. Our bodies are talking to us more than ever right now. because we store so much in our bodies. The programs, the beliefs, the pain, the trauma, it just all gets buried and dumped into our bodies. It all needs to go. Light will be shone in all the dark places, and that means including us, in us. Nothing of the old will go forward, right? So we just got to let all this shit go. So whatever works for you to do that. There's no right or wrong way. It's just whatever works for you. This is part of the gift of the time we're in, is because some of you have been given an opportunity to do nothing but go within. No distractions, and just do the work. And some of you have deliberately left it to the last moment, which is very brave of you. And the pull has begun. Where in the pull is, I'm not understanding the question. Her December was the pull month. You mean final exit time? That's entirely possible. December 21st, 2020. As I was saying earlier, the first half of the year has got this black and white monochrome energy to it. This next half of the year is this rainbow band. We were told that 2019 was the last year, ready for the new in 2020. The last year of what exactly? But the year for me starts in like end of March, beginning of April, goes to end of March, beginning of April. So technically 2020 started then and won't end until, say, the end of March next year. But yeah, December's got a lot of energy. It's all going to depend on when, for me, the next thing I'm sort of anticipating and will be the marker for what to look for next is hearing this announcement. That's the next big marker for me. Dreams are getting really interesting. Has their purpose changed? No, I don't think the purpose has changed, but I think when you have a dream and when you wake up, you've it's been dampened and it's gone through a lot of filters for us to get our understanding of it. I think the dampening process is less and the filters that it's going through are less. So we're getting a clearer, more insightful interpretation of them, which is why they're more vivid. There's more depth of meaning. We're getting the nuances. We're remembering more of the finer details, all of that, because there's less interference in bringing it back. What's the name of the white dragon? Atra. Sorry, I just had to feel into whether or not that was a good idea to say it, but I think it was okay. I don't know who that is. Has the Kraken been released? Is John Daniels with us? You might want to share something about that Kraken. Would you like to, John? He also may have fallen asleep on us. Who knows? He'll probably correct me if.
Yeah, don't say that John is no, he shied. Oh my gosh, no. If he's got something to say, if he's with us, he should. Come on, John.
He should. But he fell asleep on us last time, so who knows? Okay. I want to look at all the energy that's being generated with BLM, with writing, with all, all the stuff that's going on. All the stuff, all the people who have been allowed themselves to be manipulated into building all of this energy. There is a point where that energy, they may lose control of that energy and it will get turned against them. It's like fueling a fire and then literally the fire getting out of control and now it's coming for me. That's kind of the Kraken. They're feeding this fire in such a way that I think they actually already have lost control of the fire. But the minute something drops that will give these people another focus for that, all that energy, watch out. John, you doing the booting that needs doing? You're getting messages in this chat, the Zoom chat. Does that mean a memory wipe, as Yellow Rose for Texas advocates? We have already been mind wiped so many frigging times inside this place. And to some degree, from this avatar's perspective, you could say, yes, mind wipe. But soul memory is what returns and what we are reacquainted with. It doesn't serve the soul, from what I can gather, to retain trauma memories of the experience in here. So it's more like they get archived and you can forget them. They won't be forgotten, but you won't be living with them the way we do now. Is JFK Jr. alive? I believe he is. Susan, okay. Is JFK Jr. alive? I have no idea. As a conspiracy theory goes, as I've said before, it's got legs. Thought that at the time. Well, not at the time. I don't think I was looking back then. But at some time later, when I did go down that particular rabbit hole, I thought there was a good chance that he faked his death back then, years ago. But if he isn't, okay, he is the perfect candidate, or he is the perfect match for the frequencies for me that I think are going to play out. I do think Pence will go. I do think Pence will go, and that alongside Trump will be somebody that the true Democrats can support. so this allows a transcendence between or from this whole right-left Democrat Republican paradigm that you guys have got going, creating something new. So obviously JFK Jr. would be the perfect fit for something like that, and I haven't really looked into who else is a potential match for that energy, to be honest. But where is it? Six rainbows in one day in your area last week. Lucky you. Yeah, they do seem to come in when there is a huge shift in the baseline frequency. When we, yeah, the base, what do you call it? Like the lowest common denominator. It's like the baseline frequency. When we shift up, there's a lot of rainbows. You notice. I don't know, sure, Lady Blue. I'm not even in YouTube, so I have no idea how many we have for who's what. Are you waiting on an announcement from the White Dragon? That is what we've been told is next. Yeah. In the meantime, it's continuing to process, let go, and unplug. That's funny, Kerry. I hope we get a souvenir from this game when it's done. You know, like one of those surprise pictures they give you after a roller coaster ride. Yeah. As long as it's not a t-shirt, you know. I did the construct and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. There any way of getting individual proof of any of this? Of any of what? This whole narrative? Trust your own gut. You got to trust you. You got to trust your own heart, your own gut, your own intuition. Find your truth. And it might not be this. It might be something else completely. Whatever works for you. Whatever story, because it's all stories. It's all narratives. It's probably all, and even they are probably all metaphor. So you're writing your own story. You're writing your own script. We are, on the one hand, this whole place is run off this script over and over and over again. We've been saying this for years. They operate off a script and they don't know how to operate off script. So right now, level 10 in the game, final level, we have, as I said earlier, these storylines and narratives to work within, but we're kind of making it up as we go along. We're pulling a character out of that storyline and matching it up with the character over here. We're intermingling the storylines. We're playing with it. So even though it's within a set framework of a certain number of narratives and storylines and characters, we're mixing it up. So it's off script, but within a framework of scripts. And you just got to follow your own gut on where to go. I don't understand the who is leaving thing. Yeah. This place feels incredibly foreign to many of us. Yeah, lots of dizziness, vertigo. We're also making what it feels like is minor corrections within our own personal timelines. Oh, there's the other thing. They went too far and we had to go backwards. When was that?
About 2 weeks before.
About halfway through July, I think. We picked up on somebody went too far. Adjustments had to be made. We knew something had changed in the path trajectory that we were on. And then it felt like we were going backwards, literally backwards. As that showed up in a number of ways too. In dreams, there was one dream where somebody jumped into a car and they literally then drove backwards, and everybody walking on the footpath, everybody was going backwards. There were other dreams about we need to go back. Other dreams of like 2 nights in a row, dreaming something, somebody getting lost, the next night dreaming the same thing again without the person getting lost. Had to go back, redo it. It was like we had to go back about 3 days, is what it felt like. So, and then it took about at least a week for someone else to get a dream and insight into who went too far and what they did. And it turns out it was us. Got caught up in the moment, sped things up potentially a little bit too far. So we had to, because every soul is making choices inside and outside the construct. And every choice we make, even though there's probabilities, and there's probabilities that are so strong and so solid that you could almost call them certainties. And then some of us go and make a different choice. And there's minor adjustments that need to be made to allocate for that, because we are not operating on a really strict script. This is constantly changing and evolving and tweaking. Even though we've got these absolute solid markers along the way that will be met, these events that will happen, the space in between them is the part that can be manipulated, tweaked, whatever. And every decision you make is contributing to that. So the dizzies and the turning, being pulled to the left or to the right, or the vertigo and all of that, these are you making your minor adjustments. I hope that makes sense. Any discussion on shutdown in Victoria? Why here versus anywhere else in Australia? More going on down here. God, like I don't have any direct intel like connections or anything like this. So I'm getting the same news you guys are getting on the news, mainstream, the media and all of that. And then I've got the energetics. And twofold. They're both playing out as far as I can tell. On the one hand, you do have Victoria being used as the testing ground for what they want to roll out everywhere. the sooner the Victorians, man, I don't know what it's going to take, but the sooner the Victorians stand up and wake up, the quicker that ends. And on the flip side of that, on the energetic, it's a huge energetic cleanup as well. Nothing just is one thing, and there's 3 levels deep to everything. At least 3 levels that I can tell. In some respects, Melbourne is the most compliant place in the country. Yeah. There was something else I was going to say on that, and we went, it's gone. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, birds in the background. Is there any way that you can reach out and call home if you want to? They are listening all the time. Whether they choose to answer is another thing. Often get energetic confirmation that they're listening. That and there is a level of telepathic communication, and not just for me, for a whole bunch of people. They're there if you want to try and reach out and connect to them. This is not exclusive to me and my computer. The energetic connection is available. The computer stuff might be exclusive to that computer, but or to the computers in this house, but not on the energetic, not in the. That's available to everybody. So have a go. Reach out. See what you get. And sometimes they will come in if I'm having a bitch and a moan and screaming at my computer and saying, this is all fucked up. What are you doing? Someone will come through and say, calm yourself. Let it go. So I know they're listening. We're also observing how happenings intersect so that we can discern the direction we are heading in. Good. As my diet changed. Still basically getting all the same things, just less of it, I would say. We were told, there are large cubes, rectangles in the sky. We were told that, and I did publish that, so it's the February 14 message from home. Our cities and ships are in your skies. So some of them may well be home ones. The number of people who have had a Trump dream is nuts. Dreams of waking up in a care facility like I have Alzheimer's. The same people come to visit me, encouraging me to remember. Okay, Kelly, that's what I mean by the greater awakening is the awakening at home. for those who have been caught in this construct for a very long time, they have forgotten who they are at home. This is why we've had to do it the way we've had to do it, is because we needed to bring back as much of our consciousness as possible. The sun gave me 2 words last Sunday, dictomy and bifurcation. Yeah, interesting. No, it's not just you dreaming of Trump. A lot of people are doing it. And a lot of people are finding, like somebody else commented, they're in on certain missions that he's a part of, or they're giving him instructions, or he's giving them instructions, or they're at an event with him. They're involved with something he's involved in. It's a lot of people. They are shipping army into Melbourne to maintain compliance. Do you, okay, who here in Australia knows anybody that's in the military? These are people's brothers and sisters and sons and daughters and husbands and wives. Most Aussies join the army, the military, for the right reasons. I don't see them turning on their own people. I don't see them. I mean, there is a certain level of psychopathy in every structure. I get that. But en masse, do you really think they're going to turn against their own people? Unless they're not Australian military, that would be a different question. Distractions are on steroids right now. People are so confused. Yes. I mean, on the one hand, we've been given an opportunity to go home, stay at home, be at home, no distractions, blah, blah, blah. And that has led to a huge awakening, healing for those who take the opportunity to do it. And to prevent that, the distractions are huge. So we're all MK Ultra, yes, to some extent. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah, I did say before, my diet hasn't necessarily changed in that I'm still eating all the same things. I'm just eating less of them, less of it. And I'm drinking a lot of water. Please. All right, well, I guess if that's the last of the questions, then is there anything else that's happened that we have? I forgot this. There's so much that's happened on it. But can you guys think of anything we should bring up? Is meditation important and what do we focus on? Yourself, primarily. In the sense of just having the intention to unplug, let go of attachments, of programs, of pain, of trauma, of whatever. Just keep clearing yourself. And if that requires meditation to do that, yeah, do it. Everyone's got their own way of doing these things. And as I've been saying since 2016, stay in your heart. And oh my God, the opportunities are boundless to not do that, obviously. If it means disengaging from social media and just whatever, then do that. We're so attached to these things. UFOs, ETs. I think a minority, like a really small minority, what's left of the ETs. I think most of them are something else from somewhere else now. But that's just a feeling. I mean, can't prove anything. Any last hopeful words? What can we expect next? This place sucks. Okay. You can't take anything at face value. Yes, it looks shitty. And for many people, it really is shitty. But no matter what you're looking at, try and remember there's 3 levels of it. There's what you're seeing, there's what's running that, and then there's what's really running that. And if you can see the 3 layers, you have revealed the illusion for yourself on that level, on that topic, in that situation. All, as I've said more recently, it's like all the narratives are playing out simultaneously. The New World Order narrative, for me, is just about out of energy. What we're seeing play out is there's nothing underneath it. They are literally throwing all the shit they have left at the wall, hoping something sticks. But is it Teflon that everything sticks to, or nothing sticks to?
Nothing sticks to.
Okay, the wall is Teflon. There's no energy. If you go back, I don't know, maybe 60 TCs, I think, around there. It was a discussion around why this is all happening now, and it's because literally the will of all of creation got on the same page and went, we're ending this. You've got the will of all of creation focused on this. And then you've got the will of the virus trying to keep it running. Nothing, as we were told, nothing can stop an unstoppable force. And that unstoppable force is the will of creation. The virus doesn't stand a fucking chance. But it can't grasp that because it's managed until now. The more people that wake up, every person who wakes up just to something, just to one aspect, has a realization, it disconnects from one program, adds to the energy of the will of the all, and subtracts from the will of the virus. It's just about out of power. but that's at level 3, right? The energy that's powering everything, that's at level 3, but it still needs to be seen, right? So on the surface, things will play out, but they'll play out and fizzle out quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker because there just isn't the energy to keep it going. There isn't the energy to keep it pushing. As scary as some things look at times, seriously, right now, it's like, give it a minute because it's going to shift. It's like Melbourne weather, 4 seasons in one day. The energy is constantly changing. Oh, fuck, everything looks really, really bad. Oh, shit, no, look at that. That looks great. And here's another piece of bad news. And here's another piece of good news. It's just constant at the moment. The energy is constantly shifting, changing. It's like martial arts. I was saying this last night. In martial arts, you use the enemy, your opponent's energy against them, right? You allow them to build up all of this energy to come at you with. And then you use that energy to flip them on their ass. And that's kind of what we're doing, what seems to be happening. We stand back, we do nothing, we stay silent. We didn't. The energy, the enemy in this case, builds up all of this energy to throw something at us. And then we use it against them and they land on their ass. And then we stand back and they build up all this energy again and they throw it at us and it peters out. So it's this martial arts dance. They can't do nothing. They can't do nothing because they do nothing and the game is over for them. So they have to keep throwing something at us, which means they have to keep expelling the energy that they have in the tank to do that. And it's not getting refilled anymore. It's being used up every time. And is this all making sense as an analogy? Yes. They've been disconnected from their energy source to such a degree that they're not being built up anymore. So whatever's left in their tank is what they're using right now, and they're just throw it at us. Throw it at us. It won't stick. That's how it feels. They're just about to run out. That's what it feels like we're on the verge of. And so many of the things that they're fueling right now will just collapse.
Yeah, it boils down to mostly threats right now. It's like threats of things that they're going to do, but they don't have any energy to be able to actually do it. It's mostly fear and trying to keep people riled up and reactive.
And the only energy they do have is whatever they can get us to focus on. So it's all talk, get everybody terrified and in fear, which gives them a bit of energy to pull something off. But not enough people are buying it anymore. So every single one of us has a choice, fear or love. If you choose fear, you feed whatever you're giving them the energy to pull something off. You choose love and no. How far ahead can I see down the timeline? I can't even see a week ahead. Yeah, I'm a bit like that too. August, which I think is going to be nuts. Nuts because of the extremes that we need to, duality over here, oneness over here. The two are not going to be able to relate to each other and they're going to get more and more extreme. Can we set a time for another meeting? So we need to connect like this again. Okay. Well, if the gang's okay with it, maybe we can do this again next Tuesday. We'll have our little get together first and then go live. We'll see. I'll give you a heads up. Watch the water. Yeah, that's got a lot of layers to it as well. Okay, on 3D level, there's a lot of flooding in a lot of places, China especially. There's that. There's our own physical hydration, because there's something changing in there.
Water has to do with the emotions.
There's another piece too that I'm not getting yet on the watch the water. Energetically, telepathically, one of us was told to watch the ocean specifically, not just the water generally. Yeah, there's a few things that still need to come in on that one. Yes, please do stay hydrated. How do you know we're not being played? If the ships are in the sky, just prove it. Why would a ship be needed to take us out of the computer? It's not. But for some people, I think that's the narrative they've chosen. It's one of the narratives. For some, we've got them all playing out right now. You've got young Christian kids who are having the most incredible, insightful dreams and experiences and believe that the rapture is right around the corner. You've got new age kids who are also having their version of these dreams and experiences, who believe the Ashtar command is going to come and get them or whatever. Everyone's narrative that they've chosen seems to be playing out. I'm happy to just wake up somewhere else. I'm good with that. I don't need a ship. I don't need to go floating up into the sky. I don't need any of that stuff. But I think we were told a long time ago that everyone will get what their mind can handle. The whole idea is to not break the mind. So if that is your belief, the narrative you've chosen, all of that, then that's what you're going to get, I think. Something that you can comfortably, lovingly allow to happen. So it doesn't break your mind. Can you explain again the map anomaly you talked about a few years ago, about somewhere that was a time outside of time and a place that is not a place? That's New Zealand. New Zealand is known as the time out of time and the place that's not a place in a time out of time or something like that. And I believe the Chatham Island just off the coast of New Zealand is a very significant part of that. Got reason to believe that there is underground stuff going on in Chatham. Is there a video you can recommend for newbies where we can get the gist of it all, including the white dragon, construct and exit? Not all in one video, no. Most of these DTCs over the last couple of years have been anything from 10 minutes to an hour. In the very beginning, They were like 2 hours long. Back in, when did I start doing these? About March of 17. Prior to that, I was on the One People show and talking a lot about this stuff on that show, but they're all 2 hours. If you have a look on my website or on YouTube and look at the description, a couple of them will say it's a recap, because I have had to go back and recap a few times. But I can't say there's any one in particular. MSNBC and the New York Times threw Bill Gates under the bus this morning. Freddy Krueger. Did they really? Yes, exactly where he belongs. Do I think we're down to one timeline? Yes, I do think it's one timeline. But like I said, multiple narratives playing out on the one timeline. Oh, yeah, the many actors who have invested in water or advertised for water, that's right. Yes, next Tuesday around the same time. How do you know the people or entities who contact you aren't just doing it for your attention? As has happened many times before with different groups channeling who knows what. All I can tell you is the work, in particular the first year, but again, every time someone new comes through, it's the same process. There's been a lot of questioning, suspicion, challenging, and it has to match up with the energetics. It has to get confirmation outside of that as well. I don't feel it's a distraction for myself. I mean, a distraction from what? Going down more fucking rabbit holes? I mean, I know people and have seen people who, when this all first broke, were very much on board. It confirmed a lot for them. But for whatever reason, decided not to trust it. And 3.5 years later, they are still going around in circles, having the same conversations they were 3.5 years ago, still in the same place emotionally and mentally, still redoing the same fucking rabbit holes over and over again. They haven't moved forward at all. I know for myself, I think I've done more growing in the last 3 years than in the 20 before that. So I don't feel it's been a distraction for me. So, and there's a huge distinction between channeling and what we do. Whenever there is energetic, it is energetic and telepathic communication, it is not channeling. Or it's through the computer. Oh, there is, you won't find it on YouTube, they banned it. It is on my website. What's it called? It's got a picture of Dorothy and Alice like me and Danny. And it's called The Rabbit Hole Starts Here, I think. And that would have been from, I think that's the video you're referring to. I'm trying to think. I was in Nimbin at the time. Beginning of 16? February, March, April of 2016. That's the one where Danny and I touched on a lot of different sort of conspiracy theories and different subjects and went down different rabbit holes for newbies. There's that. The new king, yeah, him, as far as I'm concerned, is a distraction. Greg Hallett. Oh, you're welcome, Darcy. Individual inside job, yes. What do I think of transhumanism? Sorry if I already answered. Well, I think it's a big fucking mistake, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's one path, one narrative, one outcome. Again, doesn't have any energy in terms of. There are people who would jump on that. But as far as a destination is concerned, for us, it just doesn't have any energy for me. That video that I just referenced, The Rabbit Hole Starts Here, doesn't include any of the information that I'm talking about now because it's prior to contact from home. And I can try to go easy on the table because it really bounces them. But that's just like all the 3D conspiracy stuff, you know. Do we need? No, I don't think anybody. Oh, does anybody in that group use kinesiology? I don't know. No one's ever said anything. They may do it on their own privately while we're working through things. Have I ever heard of I don't even know how to pronounce that. Hyperionism. Hyperionism? No, I have not. If possible, I'd love to see you talk live with a master of yin and yang. I don't even know what that means. Hey, Victoria, you're here. Love in action now. Excellent. Anyone else having dragons all around them? Also wondering about July 31st. I felt something shift on that day. Yes, I did too, especially on the 1st when it really kicked in. I spoke about that at the beginning. You may have missed it. This is what it feels like. Let's say the outside world, outside your house, outside your space, operates at a particular frequency. The environment itself has a very familiar feel. It's like it's changed. Or perhaps it's not really what's changed. Perhaps your own internal one is what's changed. And now that all feels really weird. like you're out of phase, out of sync with the outside world. Literally out of step with it. It's like headbanging to a foxtrot. Like the two just don't, it's the wrong moves. It's the wrong tempo. It's the wrong everything. And you can't quite get into sync. The view of solipsism. The self is all that there is and all that can be known to exist. I'm not seeing the context of that, though. Okay. Are we there yet? Like, this weird little shit happens too. Like, 2 nights ago, I go to sleep. The Queen of England, her face is here, staring at me. I'm just like, what the fuck do you want? I wake up the next morning with the word Pence, and I see VP Pence. Later that day, there's a new coin released from England with the Queen on one side and a queue with children going over a bridge on the other, and it's a pence, it's 10 pence. Now the coin feels like that was the message on one level, but that's like level 3. Level 2 is it's actually the Queen and VP Pence. Level underneath that, I don't know yet. Hasn't revealed itself. Did you want to share something, Beverly, on that one?
I don't know how many people recognized or saw this past weekend. Pence was involved in a couple of bus accidents. There was one bus accident, and then there was another. And as we all know, well, not we all, but those who follow Tori Says, she had explained how that many times talking points or intel is transferred during these accidents, as what happened with Jerry Nadler before the Barr hearings. So he had a car accident right ahead of the Barr hearings because he didn't know what he was going to say. And as she explained, information was actually transferred to him during that time. So the same thing happened with Pence. Now, today, Tori also explained how that she had an encounter with Pence back, or a situation with Pence back in 2018. There's much more to that story. And I thought it was interesting that you had dreamed of Pence, him having the bus accidents, knowing that information is being exchanged. That's how they do it in order to avoid internet tracking. And that she said she had something that she had to do. And she had sent out invitations to VP Pence as well as several other people for a meeting a couple of years ago. And her date was October 25th. He showed up 2 days after she had sent out the invitation, and Trump didn't know about it. So this is one of many times that she is aware of him having meetings behind the president's back. However, nothing is going to change at this point with Pence. As she explained, history repeats itself, and every president that has ever swapped out a VP during their second term has been assassinated. Therefore, Pence will not be swapped out this election. at this point, because he is the prime person to keep safe. And at some point, though, however, they are collecting the information and things will come out. So that's all I was going to share. There was more. And I did think about the pence, and I even asked you about that. Could it be a British pence? And then I saw the coin. I was like, I got it. Bingo. But there's also more to pence, but I'm not really quite sure how it relates to the queen. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, that definitely feels like level 2. The
So
Queen of
many
Pence.
So many levels.
I get what Tori's saying, that about the priority would be to keep Trump safe. So swapping out Pence at this point would not be a good idea. But he can be pulled out right at the last moment. I mean, it's fun and games right now to even lay bets on who will actually.
We already know that Biden's not going to be the running against Trump in the end. At the last minute, they're going to swap someone out. So it'd be easy for the same thing for the VP with Trump.
Another question, though, is there a certain date by which that if you were still here, still in the construct, that you'd question this whole thing? Would I reevaluate? I'm always reevaluating. Those who are close to me, they're a little bit sick and tired of me probably reevaluating and throwing tantrums and questioning everything. But I'm always doing that. That hasn't stopped. But there'll be an experience and a knowing and a what separate, completely separate from what comes through the computer that keeps leading me back to this narrative, to this understanding. There is long before 2015, I'd already come to this is a hologram. The flat earth led me there, actually. It made my own experiences make sense. There are things that just could not be explained by religion. There are things that could not be explained by the New Age movement. There are things that could not be explained by anything that was coming through from the sort of galactic, kind of close, but not quite. This made sense for me. If it makes sense for you too, that's awesome. If it helps give you a narrative to help write your story and your path out of here, because ultimately we end up out of here anyway, right? Whether we supposedly grow old and traditionally die and all of that, we're out of here at some point. At least now we can, in fact, get right out of here, I feel, instead of getting recycled. But yeah, it's whatever works. And this one works for me. I'm enjoying listening to Tori at the moment. Way too many sombreros for my liking, though. But I've only just discovered her, so. which is another amazing thing. These people are showing up that have been around for like 3 years that I've never heard of. The timeline's collapsing. I think we've already been there, done that. We're down to one. But now it's a very personal, individual experience. So we're on one collective timeline. Some of us are still integrating aspects and shit like that, and storylines and making adjustments on a personal level. And we're also making these minor tweaks and adjustments in our own personal timeline to ensure that we meet a particular point at the right time. Jason Esther, yeah, that name rings a bell. What's he do? What's he talk about? Jason how do you pronounce it? Estes? What does he talk about? But the name rings a bell. I think we're friends on Facebook. Two timelines, the chaos and the unity. On August 16th, the chaos bubble bursts and we will be on one timeline. Oh, there you go. I think that happened a while back, but August 16th, the chaos bubble bursts. Well, that's maybe see, a lot of people feel the same stuff, but we all have our own different interpretations and metaphors and whatever, how we think, how we interpret these energies. What he's seeing as the bubble bursting on the chaos timeline, I guess I'm interpreting as what I said earlier, like the energy that they're building up to throw at us, the tank runs out and the energy that they've got just drops away. There's been no energy for me in what I call the New World Order timeline since the end of March. When the global lockdown started, when was that? First and second week of March. The energy was there for that for about 2 weeks, and then it just, it's like the carpet got rugged, or the rug got pulled out from under it. Nothing they do seems to be sustainable. Not for long. So our job is to not get caught up in the fear. When those moments happen, when you see that news, when you see that person and you hear that another person was shot and another person was, acting horrendous. This is bringing out the worst in some people. Take a deep breath. Know this moment will pass. The energies will shift again. And just stay focused on the love. Bring yourself back into your own heart. Don't feed it. Every single person they can get to buy into the fear adds some energy to it to keep it going. And I find this very challenging too. I find out some other little kid got shot, or seeing some of the comments coming out of Melbourne from people who just are horrendously abusive and ugly, telling others to conform, and they're granny killers and whatever. I have to take a deep breath. So, it says that November 8th, Earth enters a new sector for good and 3D drops off completely. Well, hey, bring it. I don't know. I've got nothing around that date. for me right now, right here, right now, the next couple of weeks looks like more intense in terms of the duality and the disconnect between the two. Like we've got the people who are choosing duality, they're choosing black and white, and people who are choosing the new, the rainbow, the integration, the one. And the two extremes will just get a bit more intense for a minute, and then the energy drops out again from the negative. Can't see much past that at the minute.
If I might, an
Yeah, Jojo.
alternative might be that those that want to create this restriction, this over control, this big hand on top of everything will be allowed to do that. Those that don't want to be won't be part of it, and it will have no effect on them. So they will create that for themselves and experience that for themselves, so that basically they find out what they created. So they get to experience it. They get to know, oh, that's what happens. This is just a possibility. I don't know how real it is, but it strikes me that there are a lot of very intense people that need to express themselves in extreme ways. And if you're creating at the same time, you're responsible for what you create. And so therefore they get to deal with it. But that doesn't mean it has to apply to everybody. Just a thought.
Yeah, and you've also got some of these extremists, some of these people who are sounding and looking and behaving like fucking lunatics right now are part of the Kraken energy. So I kind of don't want to mess with that, you know, like that energy that's being built that's supposed to be turned on us and is currently being turned on us, at some point will be the monster that they lose control of. And so there's that. But yeah, at the same time, things will get as bad as they need to get for the people who need to wake up to wake up. Yeah, don't mess with the Kraken. John Daniels, are you awake? Are you with us? I don't think he is.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, you are there. Yay. Did you have anything to say about the Kraken?
Oh, about the Kraken. I almost forgot about the Kraken. Well, yeah, that was just one of the many things that kind of seems to be emerging as it's waving on the way out, right? So as we're tracing these different narratives that seem to be resolving, that was just one that kind of popped up for me. And it popped up around the same time that all of that stuff went down in Seattle with the Chop and the Chaz. And it was kind of unrelated at the time because I was just down a different rabbit hole. But ironically enough, a month later, I guess like a week ago, there was a story in the news that Seattle might be renaming their hockey team the Krakens, ironically enough. But the energy of that Kraken that was coming around, what was that? I guess the solstice, that eclipse. And in the movie
that was
Clash of
big.
Light, yeah, because that was 10 days before, because that was when I had gotten triggered, just because Q had posted something innocuous and you guys were talking about it, and that made me think of release the Kraken. I forget what he said, unleash something was going to be unleashed, I don't know. And it just felt like the energy of, you know, the protest, the whole dynamic, everything that was being stirred up and conjured, that, you know, that they were trying to summon or release some sort of Kraken. But just like that actual narrative plays out itself, it felt like that was going to be the thing that kind of undoes them, that they create this momentum, that they create this whirlwind and this chaos, and that, you know, eventually winds up empowering people in a type of way because they just can't control it. And after the events of the eclipse, which was the 21st, there was something that happened planetary wise. I think it was around the 4th of July when there was that parade of planets, and then there was another eclipse. If I could be wrong. But just the way that that was playing out in the sky, that kind of mirrored the story of the Kraken in a type of way when I was just looking at it. And I'm just going off the top of my head, so I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I think a majority of the planets were going through Capricorn at the time of this planetary parade. And they were also going retrograde. And the planets that I remember were Saturn and Pluto in particular. And they were both retrograde in Capricorn. And Saturn and Pluto, they kind of figure around the Kraken story, right? At least Hades, he's the one that created the Kraken. Saturn in a different kind of way. Saturn actually created Capricorn, which is a similar kind of like aquatic goat creature, right? But Capricorn's story was that Capricorn, because he was Saturn's child, he was Kronos' child, he had time magic capabilities, so he could turn time backwards. And he abused this because every time his children would grow up, he would turn time back because he didn't want to see his children leave him, which sounds very familiar in terms of cycling through this game how many times. But the way that the Capricorn story actually ends, according to some Kabbalist myth that I found, is that the Capricorn swims into the sea and then swims into the belly of the Leviathan and feeds itself to the Leviathan, which is kind of like the Kraken, the same kind of energy. And the Leviathan is just, you know, the swirling chaos. It's the Ouroboros, it's the Quetzalcoatl, the whole spiel. But it also, again, it feels like the energy of the Kraken, when you visualize it, versus the energy of the Leviathan, when you would visualize that, it's kind of the same thing, that duality there, where it's like they took something that's just like, you know, energetic and they made it demonic. And the story with the Leviathan is that it was the first creation, right? So that it's like, you know, you have this spirit, the essence, the source or whatever, and then it creates matter or potential or possibility. And that would be the Kraken, that would be the Leviathan, that would be the chaos, whatever. So anyway, so at the end of this Capricorn story, Capricorn swims into the mouth of the Leviathan, feeds itself. And that felt like this whole conversation that we were having about these narratives resolving or hitting their resolution point. And it was just interesting that while, you know, these themes were coming up and we were experiencing these things, that all of the planets that were involved in the mythology in terms of creating these things, Hades, who created the Kraken, and Saturn, who created the Capricorn, were both going retrograde through Capricorn during this time that was, you know, 3 eclipses deep into the revelation period or whatever the hell we're going through. So it just felt very, you know, it felt like that narrative playing out, but past its resolution point again, that, you know, now we're in new territory, that something new is being written. And yeah, so that was pretty much all I can remember on that.
You still feeling like it is the monster that will eventually turn on them? Is what's...
I think it already has.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, there's still the energy of the stubbornness, right? Like that we know, like you said, the virus doesn't have, what was it that you said? That it doesn't have consciousness or awareness of the fact that it's losing to a degree. Like it's like that stubbornness that it'll keep going. But that thought kind of made me think almost like the homeopathic way of treating things, like curing like, that it almost feels like, you know, the virus itself is self-doubt. And like you said, the virus doesn't doubt itself that it can beat this, that it can beat creation. But I think it's starting to have moments where it realizes that, even just for a second, and maybe is like, oh shit. And they're just going full steam, like we've seen with the bots, right? That they've been activated to like another level so that they don't process. They just keep kind of like fighting through it.
And
But
like that image that you saw with all the hooks in the lake, bait, you know,
yeah,
they are baiting the heart source beings constantly because they've been disconnected from their fuel source in so many ways. And the only thing they've got is to bait us into giving it. They can't take from us anymore. We have to give it to them. And we are constantly being baited to do that. And that's why I say, just don't buy it. Go into your heart. Just take a deep breath. Because it's a choice in every moment. Do I feed that? Or do I feed the positive timeline, the positive result? Do I keep fueling that momentum or do I fuel their stuff?
right. And to almost just keep in mind that it is a game to a degree, because it's not having a same conversation. It's like having a conversation. If you've ever taken care of a person with dementia or something like that, you just kind of have to roll with it, but you don't react emotionally, even when they say things that are triggering to a degree. You classify it as being that and you move on. And I feel like that perspective to a degree is kind of healthy right now because of, like you said, the baiting. And because it feels like, this self-doubt ego virus is starting to realize its own doubt, like that undoing, it's amping it up and it is getting worse. But I feel like if, at least when in my own moments, when I don't react the way that I'm scripted to react, that throws the bot programming off more. And eventually it just stops engaging because it doesn't want to. It like hurts it. If you don't give it what it needs, there's no capacity to think, right? There's no like conscious awareness. So if you force it to think, it's a problem.
Yeah, I can relate. And one of the biggest programs that we are unplugging from ourselves individually, you just triggered the memory of this, is the lineage, the ancestry, the identity, the who we think we are stuff. Because there's such a big push right now for us to wear as many labels and identify with as many labels as we can. Whether it's just so that you can feel bad about them or proud of them or whatever. But if this is a game and these are characters that we are playing, then their storyline and their backstory and their history and their ancestry and they're still part of the story. So it's about unplugging from all of that. We're all God, this is going to be a trigger one. Let's just say we're all original, at least the heart source beings. So whatever labels you want to throw on top of yourself over that, it's kind of irrelevant outside of this game. It's only relevant to the game, and it's part of the programming that we're plugged into. It's one of the pull strings they pull on us. And that feels like one of the biggest plugs to unhook from. I know the parasite blood-sucking bugs are crazy here. Very few of the good insects. Is that part of all this chaos? Yeah, probably. Don't you find it funny that, the majority of nature is symbiotic? Everything feeds, supports, and flourishes in a particular symbiotic way. And then there's just a minority of what we call nature that is parasitic. That, whether it's people, bugs, weeds, parasites, they just don't belong.
Don't forget viruses.
And viruses. Oh, I mean, this could not be more perfect as far as I can tell. That this narrative that's playing out, the virus, the mind virus that I've been talking about for 3 years, is now on the surface. It's been pushed up. We are at war with the virus. If you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, you can't be objective. And I've got people who suffer from Lisa derangement syndrome. I know that. And again, they can't be objective. So when you've, as I said before, if you're full of hate and all of that stuff, no matter who it's focused on, it doesn't allow you to see what's really right in front of you. There are things that he has said, and my confirmations, my comms, my signs and whatever, they'll come from all kinds of places, including him. And from people that I know are dark. I know a cabal, I know a deep state, I know a whatever, but that doesn't mean they are not a source of intel. They can give me a confirmation whether they know it or not. I don't judge the source of the comms, right? And there's been plenty from Trump. For good or for ill, whatever you think of him is irrelevant. The comms are still there. There are, just as I said earlier, when you hear them talking and they sort of interchange words like humans and the native population, and they're not talking about all of us together. They're talking about us and them. When he's said things in the past, when he's talking about COVID-19, he says COVID-19 or the China virus. When he's talking about the mind virus, he talks about the invisible enemy. He names that in a number of ways too. He's not always talking about COVID. What was the other one he does? What was it? Again, I just have much mind. What's the other one he does?
Does it have to do with numbers?
No. Well, when this first broke and he started and he said, there'll be so many deaths. There'll be so many deaths. And you could tell he really meant it, and it was painful. But I also knew he wasn't talking about the virus, as in COVID. There are pieces there if you can detach from what you currently think about him, or whether it's good or bad, whether you support him or you're against him, doesn't either way. And that goes for anybody that you may have, anybody that you don't personally know and don't have personal and direct experience of, that you've been told to think and feel a certain way about, whether it's adore them or hate them, either way, take a step back. And otherwise you're losing objectivity. There's comms everywhere. If you know what you're looking for, look at the language a little different. Just look at the language more so, and look at it 3 layers deep. Scarecrow, Strawman, Freddy Krueger. Okay, is that it for questions? Hey, everybody loves John Daniels. there is so much that's gone on since the last DTC. That I know I haven't even touched on at all, but July 21st. I got 2 message telepathic, I don't know, intuitive. I don't know what they were, but they were very clear. The heavy lifting is done and the tide has turned. And everything always takes a while to filter out in 3D. I think we're going to see that by about the middle of August. What else? I do think Trump is playing 2 roles, like really 3D 2 roles. He's the president of the Organic Republic, and he's also the CEO of the corporation. And he's doing a very delicate dance right now between the two. Yeah. I think that's probably all I got. Okay. The notes. Tom Hanks being the head bloodsucker of Hollywood. What about that? Okay. Yeah. How's that to get your mind around? Every structure that we've got in this so-called society that keeps this place running is corrupt. Also in every structure, there seems to be a single point of failure. Sorry, that noise is my cat scaling the screen door. He's now 6 feet off the ground and just hanging there. There is a single point of failure. There shouldn't be, because any idiot should never set up a structure with a single point of failure. But let's say, for example, the pharmaceutical industry, I think Fauci has been identified as the single point of failure. Because he will lead to, once he, as that pin gets pulled, and it should be very soon, that will bring down the whole pharmaceutical Western medicine bullshit. Bit by bit by bit, it'll just domino. I said it before when Epstein was arrested, that he is just a Zuckerberg. He is the face. He is a sick and twisted little individual, which is why he was put into and funded, because he's so controllable himself, to be the face of this network. The guy's totally funded, totally put in place. Ghislaine is definitely, he was but it put him in a position of being the single point of failure, because you pull him out and then everything that he is connected to and everybody behind him. And Tom Hanks may well be the single point of failure for the celebrity side of things. It's that one card in the deck that if you pull it, the whole tower comes down. I don't feel that Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Whenever I tune into Epstein, there's too much energy there still. Don't think he's dead. I don't buy all these lists that are running around. This person's been arrested. This person's been executed. I don't. But I have to say there's a good question mark around Tom Hanks on that one. Energetically, could go either way. It's not, there is energy there, but it's not the same for me as Epstein. Yeah, I don't know. The movie Big that he was in should have told us all what we needed to know, but anyway. And one of the reasons he is such a single point of failure is because of the wholesome image. Not just because of who he's connected to, but because of the place he held in people's hearts as a whole. You know, the majority of people loved Tom Hanks. That's it. And loved his movies. He never played the bad guy. So I think that's one of the reasons why he's a single point of failure. I still wonder if there was a split in last year's where some people were sent to the 4D Earth on the negative polarity, some on the positive 4D and some to 3D. I'm not sure if I understand that. I don't think anyone's been sent anywhere just yet. Quinn Michaels. I don't think so. Hanks has represented purity, wholesomeness, and heart source. It's disappointing and twisted. Yes, exactly. List might be created from using Project Looking Glass or just trolling guilty. Yeah. Yeah, there's something up with those lists. Arrested? It's highly potential. Oh, he talks to Tyler, the AI computer. Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, that I did look at those a few years back. Like 4, maybe? If he's been around that long, I think so. But I haven't seen anything for a long time. I actually try not to look too much because I don't want to be I mean, I look at how things were playing out on the 3D for sure. And I look at certain information, but not too much anymore because I don't want to be influenced. Oh, what's he say about Tom Hanks? Is there good and evil present outside this construct? That's a question. There is a DTC I did several ago where I showed a bunch of graphics that we created to try and represent what our interpretation of what this looks like. Inside the construct, there were many realms. We call them dimensions, we call them worlds, alternatives, plus you had all these alternative timelines and fucking whatever, layers. They were all connected and all infected. To some extent, yes, I do believe the infection went beyond this construct. But that has now, which is part of why all of outside this construct has rearranged itself and been cleaned up. and something new has been created. It's like the virus itself is just being contained and contained and contained and contained. And on one, in one way, it means it gets more and more and more and more intense. What's the word I'm looking for?
Concentrated.
Concentrated, compressed. We're being compressed as well. So there might be less of it, but in some ways it's more volatile. But I feel like it is all contained in here now, and even in that, it's in smaller and smaller aspects and sections. Hello, Kitty. This whole idea that okay, you've asked the question, are the evildoers just playing an evil role in the game? What happens to them on the exit? This is one of my triggers. That those who are playing a very evil role are making the greatest sacrifice to play that role for our benefit and growth. Personally, I say, fuck you. I can't go there. I cannot go there that a heart source being would do some of the things I know are being done for anybody's benefit. And that we just have to love them and actually appreciate them and be grateful for the sacrifice that they have made from I can't go there. To me, there is virus in human form. There is no human consciousness. There is no source consciousness. There is no soul. There is no nothing in some of these beings. It's pure virus. And it will be deleted. There are also heart source beings. We've all been infected with the virus to a lesser or greater extent. And many have been doing the work they need to do for a long time to purge themselves of that. And some haven't at all. So the heart source beings who are still a little bit infected, as far as I know, will be looked after and healed and cleaned up. But yeah, sorry, I can't buy the other one. Grace Smith, Hanks plays the game. You mean he's playing the game of a dark wizard head of a pedophile network? The absence of entertainment is forcing us down a path of self-exploration. Was that always the plan? Yeah, get rid of your distractions. Get rid of your things that you associate your identity with. I am my job. I am my income and what that affords me. I am my status. I am my whatever. What if you're none of those things?
Yeah, get rid of your
to allow you to give you this time and the space to do the inside work.
Lisa, I'm sorry to interrupt. That's what Grace said that Tyler said that Tom Hanks was doing.
So he's really a good guy playing a role. Is that what you mean?
Don't know. That's what the viewer said. Oh, she's saying he knows how to manipulate reality according to Quinn. Tyler.
Okay.
For that matter, all witches do.
Mhm. What do I think about Robin Williams? I believe he knew something not good. Yeah, I do too. But again, I mean, we're speculating on people we don't know and haven't had any personal experience of. All we're going off is what we can sense in the energetics around them. I do think Robin Williams was a good man. His heart feels good.
But we all know that you don't
What?
make-
Huh?
I was just gonna say, but we all know that you don't make it big unless you know something.
What won't Magenta approve of?
That we are to love the dark side of ourselves that are being expressed through the pedophiles.
Yeah, well, I don't either.
No, I'm saying she says we should.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. And hey, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to make, apologize and kiss and make up when we get home. But not here. What say you guys of Jeff Carmack? I don't even know who that is. He did. What did Oliver mean by saying that we would be leaving by the end of 2019? I don't believe he said that. That 2019 was the end of the old, ready for the new in 2020. So we are in the initial stages of the new, which is a transition. I mean, we're transitioning right now between the old and the new. So everything of the old that can't come forward into the new has to go. And the only way for it to go is to be brought up into the light and exposed and purged. And that's on a personal and a collective level. How best to protect ourselves at this point? I think the answer to that's always been the same. Just stay in your heart. Don't allow yourself to be triggered. If you feel a trigger, look at it. I see you. I see that connection. I see that cord. I see that plug. I see that program. I let it go. Okay. How long have we been doing this for? A couple of hours? Yeah. Okay. All right. Last questions. Anyone? Or comments? Or whatever you got. 3 hours, have we? Well, time flies. Well, YouTube better hold on to this because I haven't recorded it on the Zoom end. Because somebody forgot to press record again when we came back from the break.
Retro.
Right. All right. We may do this again next Tuesday if you guys are interested, and it's okay with the gang. I don't know if we'll go for 3 hours, but anyway. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for the questions. I hope some of the answers were helpful, and just make your choices. That's what we're here to do right now, is to make a choice and act on that choice of what we want to feed. Sorry, what time? It's only 2:00 in the afternoon. Have we a Trump-like person in Australian politics? There does seem to be one who's just risen his little head. He's from New South Wales. What's his name? He actually does follow Trump, but he follows Q. And he's ex-military. And I can't think of his name. Exit without death. Well, what's death? If death is leaving these avatars, if we just look at it like that, like this is just the avatar for this game and we're leaving that, then that's what we call death. But how we perceive, it's all about what we perceive, how we perceive that experience. Will there be a replay? Yeah, this should be available on YouTube straight after, or once it's processed or whatever. Sovereignty is a huge theme. Personal sovereignty. So figure out what that is for you. I guess the answer in this process has been the same for the last 4 years. It's an individual inside job. Stay in your heart. That hasn't changed. I'm unplugged from the programs. Unplugged from the mind virus. The bait, the hooks and the bait are constant. So it's up to you if you want to bite. But every time you bite, you're giving them some energy because they cannot take it anymore. You've got to offer it up. So, all right, we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you. Might see you next week if you're around. So bye for now.